Hey everyone, welcome to today's edition of One Single Story. It's Tuesday. We're in the Song of Solomon, and I'm with my wife Barbara today again and this week. And today ought to be an interesting conversation. So the reading today was the last part of chapter 3 and the first part of chapter 4, and essentially chapter 4 seems to be this consummation of the marriage. So, in biblical times, that was, we even still say that today, have you consummated the marriage? It was it's the sexual act that brings two people together. That was, they even, in scriptural times had, clause to prove, one that the wife would have been a virgin and that they had consummated the marriage, that went in the tent on the first night that people were married. It is, so we have a page that we work with families on, and we've done a sermon series here by the same name, Marriage, Money, and Making Babies. The three most common things people will come see me about is their marriage is in trouble, their children are in trouble, their money's in trouble. Those are the three most common things. And overwhelmingly, the conversations in marriage that are in trouble have to do with sex. Often it's adultery, pornography, something has gone, someone has gone astray, but they also revert back to, how that plays out in the home. So the question that I kind of want to start out with today and to have a conversation about is, why is sex so important in marriage?
I believe sex is important in marriage because I think it's a gift from God that was meant for the married couple to enjoy.
And is it only for enjoyment? I mean, obviously there's procreation that
Right.
happens, but at some point that goes out the window, or
Yeah.
most likely.
I think it's there to make us one, to draw us closer together.
What are some things that interfere with people having consistent sex lives in their marriage, making it consistent? What are some things that interfere with that?
Many things, children, work, your schedule, just a lack of desire to be that intimate and make time for the coming together
The
and
intimacy.
the intimacy that we both need.
And why do you think people allow those things to interfere? Like, obviously in younger families, children becomes um, a real challenge. How do you work around that with young children, like young couples who are working through that? What do you tell them?
Well, you have to, I believe, make time for the man and the wife has to make time for them. They have to go on dates. They have to carve out time at home alone if they can. It just has to be a priority. You have to be the first. You have to give to each other.
But doesn't that seem,
It seems so easy to say,
yeah,
but
and
it's not so easy to do. But
because in those seasons, like, it's like the children, the smaller
Yes.
they are, the more needy they
Sure.
are.
Mm-hmm.
How would you tell a couple to make one another a priority if they feel like they're in a season where something else is taking their time? And, there's some things, children, health, jobs, so many things can play into that. How would you tell them to do that?
Sometimes you have to schedule it. I think everybody has a schedule. Everyone has a schedule, daily schedule. And I think we've learned and we've heard a podcast with this. You have to schedule it in. You have to look at your calendar and said, this is the 30 minutes I'm going to spend together, or this is the 30 minutes we're going to have sex.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is the time we're going to be intimate with each other, or we're going to talk with each other, or we're going to, and again, it's easier said than done, but we get everything else on our list checked off.
Yeah. So it was one of the myths that people believe that you have to be in the mood, like it's got to be romantic. You know, you got to have rose petals and candles, and I mean, is that an interference? Like people's belief that this has got to be, it's got to be perfect. The timing's got to be perfect, and if it's not, then we shouldn't.
No, because the timing is probably not going to be perfect 80% of the time. It is sometimes. I don't think it can be something you check off all the time, but there are sometimes it's something you're gonna have to check off your list and say. And I know for me, it starts in my mind first. I got it's what we're slow cookers. You guys are microwaves.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to start off with, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and this is I'm going to make it happen today.
And that's so easy to get distracted by so many other things. You know, in general, this has not been a topic that we've had a lot of tension in our marriage about. We've both had a pretty sensible view of what we need to do. That being said, our mood clocks are completely different.
Completely different.
Yeah.
Yes.
So pretty much I'm in the mood from the time I wake up until about 8 o'clock at night. Yeah.
Yes, 100%.
And you're in the mood at about 9 o'clock at night. Yeah.
When you go, it's all the day's done. I can go in the room, clear my mind. Yeah.
There's nothing else to think about. There's nothing else to distract you. But when I get in the bed, I'm ready to sleep.
You're going to sleep. Yeah.
Like I can put my head on the pillow. You don't go to sleep very easily.
No.
And if I turn out my light,
oh yeah,
I'm asleep.
You're breathing very heavy the next second. Yeah,
quickly.
You're gone.
And so we know that about one another,
right.
And we have to adjust, and to make sure that we both know, it can't always be one person's timing and the other person's timing.
Right.
And the times when we're both actually in the mood, and it's not just a one-way street, but when we're both actually in the mood, it's not always present. But we're smart enough to know, like, this is critical to our functioning as a married couple. And we have gone as far as scheduling it. Yes. That all right, this is this day, no matter what, even if we're ticked off with one another. And I just, if you've never tried that, by the way, if you've never tried to have sex with somebody you're mad at, schedule it and then get mad, you'll see. That's never been the case, but we understand because there's so many things around. I mean, it's not 24 hours a day, but about 20 hours a day, there are people who want my attention.
Yes.
Usually from midnight to 4 a.m., I don't get too many messages or calls. But up until midnight, people are likely to text me, and starting at certainly by 5, people are likely to text me. And my phone's on do not disturb, so I don't see it. But so, for me, because I have my fingers in 1,000 things, there's always somebody that needs my attention. For you always see things that need attention, so the dishes need to be washed, the dog needs to be brushed, the house needs to be vacuumed, the sheets need to be changed, this needs to be moved around. And so it's different. You're going to things. I'm being pulled to things, and it's easy to allow time to go by, um, and I don't. I mean, I don't. You may not want me to share this, but like we keep for several years have kept a sex calendar, like keep track of it. So
Meaning how many times in a year?
yeah, that's right. Yeah, and the date, so we can kind of see the frequency. Okay, are there times, like I can go back and look and see, you can see times when one of us may have been sick, or
or just we was in a rut, we're so busy that
right,
we didn't get
right. And identifying those spaces and paying attention and knowing, because statistics say the happiest couples are the ones that have sex average twice a week. If somebody lies to you and says we're having sex every day, they're full of malarkey. One of them is hating marriage. That's what's happening. But but they say that those are the happiest couples, the couples that have sex at least twice a week. Sometimes I'll talk to couples and it'll be 3 months, or it will have been 6 months or a year, and they want to know why we are so stressed. And somebody would say, there will be people that tell me, well, it's these other things that are keeping me from having sex. And my observation in general is, if you have sex, some of those other things ain't that big of a deal anymore,
Right. I think it's a reset, for both of us.
Right.
Just to be open and honest, there's times, at the start off with, it is not, difficult, but it's the longer you just open yourself up to it when it's done. I don't mean when it's done, but at the end, you're glad you feel it's like a reset. You feel better. You feel like you're connected,
right.
And I've read, I think I got this right in my memory, but it says men need sex to feel love. Women need to feel love to want sex. God created us differently.
Right.
But he created us to be one.
And we have to be aware of that.
Yeah.
And
also I think our society, our world, I mean, I didn't grow up with anybody, parent, anyone talking to me about sex. I think a lot of women's views about sex, because what this world portrays, the pornography and how all of that goes. I think women see sex as sometimes as dirty, or as this is something I need to do for my husband.
Right. But it's either obligatory or it's nasty.
Yeah, but women need to learn that they can enjoy sex. And
yeah. I think that's an important thing. I mean, I think they're like, it's an awkward conversation, right. and I couldn't do this with Zach.
That would be funny to watch. That would be very.
Oh, God only knows what he might say.
That would be very entertaining.
But I think both people should find ways to enjoy it, right. and talk about it. When I do premarital counseling, it is one of the things I ask: what do you consider to be the right number of times to have sex a week? And the interesting thing is, if one of them thinks the number's 3 and the other one thinks the number is 1, when you have sex twice in a week, the one who thought it was 1, they're like, they should be happy. We did it twice as many times, right. And the one who thinks it's 3 is like, it's not as many times. And so we have had regular conversations over our lifetime of, what are our expectations? What is the right amount? It's one of the reasons why we keep track of it, because it's not fair for one person to say, well, it's been forever, well, what is forever? What does that mean to you? If you have some expectations of what it should look like and how often it should be, it makes marriage easier and better. So,
and also I think, the bedroom should be a place where it's freedom, It should be a safe place. I mean, I think the couple you should feel safe talking about your concerns about sex or your desires about sex, and
without it being
without it
broadcast.
right. Yes, most definitely it needs to stay between you two. Yeah. That is would be a big no to talk to anyone other than your spouse, unless you're going to a marriage counselor, a professional about your intimacy.
Well, thank you for joining us today on this week's most awkward edition. We're glad that you were here. Hope you'll be back tomorrow as we continue our conversation about the Song of Solomon.